Hey guys, I'm back with another one. So I wrote this topic down, and you know what? I really relate to this right now in my life. Sometimes we get to a point in our lives where we feel like we're doing something, or we are we feel like we're doing something, or we feel like we're working hard at something, and we are just not seeing any fruit in it, right? We're not seeing, well, or we're seeing fruit, but we're seeing like slow fruit, right? And I just wanted to give a message to someone that sometimes it can seem like nothing is happening, but we can't see what's happening spiritually around us. Okay, so sometimes, let's say if you're praying for something, right? You're praying, and initially you're like, well, nothing's really happening. I'm not seeing no change. I'm not seeing no difference, right? What is the point? What is the point of this? Well, for one, things take place spiritually before they take place physically. Okay, so things will take place in the supernatural before they actually take place in the natural. All right, and you have to understand that prayer does work. And so a lot of times when we are working at something, right, when we're working hard at something, it can be very tempting to just give up, right? It could be very tempting to just quit, because it's like, well, I've been doing this for a couple months, I've been doing this for a year, 2 years, a couple years, whatever, and I'm not seeing no progress. And the progress that I'm seeing is like, it's very slow. Okay, but I wanted to give you some encouragement that you have to learn how to stay the course. Okay, even when it seems like nothing is happening, you have to stay the course. Even when it seems like no one is showing up, no one is applauding you, no one is saying, yeah, good job, keep going. Even when no one is saying that, right, and it looks dead, it looks quiet, you have to be showing up to prove something to yourself. Okay, so if you just quit, or you just say, you know what, no one's here, no one's showing up, well, then that will show you who you are actually doing this for. Are you doing what you're doing for you and because you believe in it, or are you doing it for the applause of man? Are you doing it because you feel like you have something to prove to people? Okay, we can get fixated in this thing of thinking we have something to prove. We don't have nothing to prove to anyone but God. Okay, so, and to ourselves, right? I want to prove to myself that I can show up no matter what. I can show up when it's looking like nothing is happening. I can show up because if you can only show up when, or you can only put your all in when you're seeing results, then you are not going to last. You're not going to make it, because there are going to be seasons where there are going to be seasons in anything you do where is you are seeing fruits, you're seeing lots of fruits, and there are going to be seasons where you're seeing nothing, right? And this is why the Bible talks about, like, there's seed time and there's harvest time, right? So there's time for you to plant those seeds. There's time for you to start, actually doing the gardening, putting the seeds in the ground, right? Planting the seeds. And then, right, eventually there's time for those seeds to sprout up, right? Become flowers, become fruits, become vegetables, whatever, right? There's time for those things to bloom. But if you are focused on, well, I just put these seeds, like, you're not going to plant a plant and then expect it to be a whole plant tomorrow. Like, that's just not realistic, right? Like, we all know that it takes time for things to grow. So why do you think that when you're working on something, or when you're praying for something, or when you're waiting on something, right? Why do you think that that's just going to happen overnight? Why do you think that it's just going to be a one prayer, then it's done? Or why do you think that you're going to just start something tomorrow and then you're going to have the final result next week? That is not how things work. Okay, so we have to learn to appreciate our seed time and our harvest time. We have to learn to appreciate the seasons that we are in. Okay, and if you take full advantage of your season, whether you're in a season of being hidden, right, or whether you're in a season of being put on Front Street, when we take full advantage of the seasons that we are in, we get the fullness out of what God is trying to do for us in that season. Okay, so God specifically will allow certain things to happen. He will put us in these cycles, right, for us to produce a certain type of fruit in our due season, right? So that's why you'll see a lot of people, they'll go through the same cycles. Why? It's because when God was trying to get a certain thing out of them in a certain season, they were not learning the lesson. So their fruits, their vegetables, their flowers, whatever, could not grow. It couldn't grow properly. Or if it was growing, everything was bad and had to be cut off and start over. So you have to realize that you have to appreciate where you're at right now. Appreciate that you're showing up and you feel like no one is showing up. Appreciate that you feel like, you're not, you feel like you're hidden, or you feel like you're unseen, or you feel like no one is there, right? You feel like you're performing in front of a empty audience, right? You feel like you are performing and there's no one in the room, right? But eventually, okay, eventually, and sometimes, let me say this too, sometimes God will test us to see, like, okay, can they withstand the hidden season? I'm a firm believer that any, like, person who's done something, whether you're a business owner, whether you are a content creator, whether you are a musician, whatever, I'm a firm believer that most people go through the season of being hidden, right? If you're doing it the right way and you are relying on God to do something for you, I'm a firm believer that most people go through that season where they're hidden, right? And it typically tends to be the people that eventually end up becoming like very big. And it's because God is molding you in that time. He's molding you to become the type of person who can handle success, who can handle being put out there, right? Who can handle it, right? And somebody who will, once they get it, they will be humble about it. They'll have humility, and they won't just be like super boastful, right? Because if you didn't work for anything, if you didn't work for no success, and you just overnight blow up, right, you're not going to know how to handle it. You're not going to know how to deal with that. So I believe that when you keep showing up and you keep showing up with a positive attitude and you keep going at it and you keep putting your flyers up and you keep going at that business and you keep speaking life into it, eventually, because we have to realize that when you put a seed in the ground, when you plant something, right, it got to come up. It's going to come up eventually. Even if it takes a little bit longer than you thought, it's going to come up eventually. So you have to realize that the seeds that you've planted are going to eventually sprout up. All right. So stop thinking that because it's not happening as fast as you want it to happen, that it's not going to happen. Okay, get in your mind that you have to show up no matter what. You have to show up when it looks like it's not happening. In fact, when it looks like it's not happening, that's when you really need to be showing up, because that is when something is happening. Okay, and a lot of times, let me say this, a lot of times the devil will try to get in your head to get you to quit something right before it's about to happen. So if you've been doing something for a while, like you've been pushing at something for a while, and you are not seeing no fruit, and you feel like, you know what, what's the sense? I'm just done with this, right? A lot of times, it's whatever you're praying for, whatever you're waiting for, is literally around the corner. But Satan's job is to get you to quit before you see the fruit, so that you're just always just sowing and you're never reaping. Okay, so get that in your spirit. Hear what I just said. Okay, if you feel a strong urge to quit, you need to get even more grounded and you need to go even more harder. Okay, because it's coming and it's going to happen. But the test is in, can you show up when it looks like nothing is happening? Okay, so on Wisdom, this is Wisdom Talks. I'll see you in the next talk.